For 75-year-old beautician Liu Ling Ying, worshipping both Buddhist and Hindu deities is a daily ritual. Born and raised in Kolkata, her upbringing immersed her in Indian and Chinese cultures. But life wasn't always easy.
没有读过书没有读过书，爸爸就很辛苦啊，就没有读过书。13岁的时候就做美人，爸爸也很辛苦嘛，没有人看他。
Liu's father, a clothing merchant from Shandong province in China, was one of thousands of Chinese emigres to this port city in eastern India in the mid-20th century. As a girl, Liu grew up multilingual and speaks Mandarin as a third language, with Bengali and Cantonese being the main languages in her neighborhood.
以前有很多人讲不是讲国语话的，讲 Cantonese 很多人是讲国语就很少。
Small waves of Chinese emigres to India began in the early 1800s, mostly from the southern Guangdong region, leaving via British colonial ports. Many arrived by ship in the capital of what was then British India, known to the world as Calcutta, seeking lucrative business and work opportunities. The number grew in the late 19th century, reaching a high of 70,000 people by some estimates. Generation after generation, they contributed to the social and economic life of the port city through making and selling leather goods and running Chinese grocery stores, creating a close-knit community right here. Here in Kolkata is Tiretta Bazaar, India's oldest Chinatown. The architecture, handicrafts and cuisine embody a cultural pluralism built here over the last 2 centuries. But now modern development is threatening this relic of the Indian-Chinese connection. Many of the thousands of residents of Chinese descent who lived here have moved out in recent decades, taking much of Tiretta Bazaar's Chinese identity with them.
以前很多中国人呢，很多中国人现在就没有了。现在他们出去了嘛，有的时候去加拿大、去香港、去哪里都没有，一个都没有中国人了。现在。
Now, chain stores and building construction have taken their place, and in 2022, the non-profit World Monuments Fund declared Tiretta Bazaar a heritage site in need of urgent preservation. One of the area's most well-known temples, Si Ip Church, was established 120 years ago by settlers, followers of the Chinese Buddhist deity Guan Yin. Caretaker Wu says he has seen changes in the neighborhood.
जो बचा है अभी ये है हेरिटेज में हेरिटेज हो गया है अब ये अब 15-20 साल तो हम लोग रहेगा उसके बाद में क्या होएगा ये तो कोई रहेगा नहीं अब कब क्या करेगा हम लोग के पास में काम नहीं है और गवर्नमेंट भी कोई देने वाला नहीं है अब ये भी बचा तो ये सब कचरा फेंक के अटैक करता है.
It could be a mirror for India's deteriorating relationship with China. In the century since Si Ip was founded, the world's 2 most populous countries have built a fierce geostrategic rivalry. But as China's GDP growth surged under its economic reforms of the 1980s and 90s, driven by manufacturing, the balance tipped and India quietly conceded the spot of Asia's dominant power to its neighbour. At the turn of the 21st century, their economic rivalry returned to old border disputes, as China's territorial claims led to deadly clashes between troops at their shared Himalayan border in 2020. That became a turning point in New Delhi's perception of Beijing.
I think the scales fell off the eyes, and it was very clear in India that we can't trust them. So today we are at a stage where, frankly, there is no trust. There's a lot of, I would say, negative feeling about the Chinese.
As successive Indian governments have become more wary of China, they have got closer to Taiwan. A pragmatic move given that both have to deal with the Chinese Communist Party's expansionist ambitions. India and Taiwan are mostly focusing on strengthening commercial and business ties, collaborating on technology and manufacturing. But intercultural observers hope that the movement of talent across borders will leave more than just an economic footprint.
Yeah, I'm very confident with the flexibilities and also adaptabilities of Taiwan into a more international communities. I do hope to see that with more Indians coming into Taiwan, we together build the future of Taiwan.
A blend of Cantonese, Indian and Taiwanese flavours, a home away from home. Liu's third son, Anthony, grew up in Kolkata, where he met his now wife, a descendant of Hakka immigrants from China. The couple continued their family's legacy of migration, moving over 3,000 kilometers to Taiwan, a country the Lius had no previous connection to. They found a home here in Taipei and opened a restaurant serving fusion cuisine representing their shared heritage.
The name of the restaurant means actually it's Cantonese, it's more into Cantonese. But me and my wife, we try to put some Indian, Asians, let Taiwanese people try some Indian Chinese food. People here in this area, they accepting it, like the taste. We explain them, this is not Cantonese, this is Indian Chinese food.
The Liu family restaurant is proof of a common history that ties India and China, and that lives on in spite of modern geopolitical difficulties. It's also living proof of blossoming cultural exchange between Indians and Taiwanese that goes beyond business and commerce. From one international community of the past to new generations and alliances creating a multicultural future, embodied by Liu and her family. One of her 3 sons' marriage to a Muslim Indian woman, Shirley, was a celebration of diverse identities.
This is actually a Chinese community hall. Yeah. Oh. So we had a wedding here. When they come, we party, we enjoy ourselves. Like they know everything about me, like me being from an outcast even, but they've never shunned me in any way. They have always put me up there. Like even my mother-in-law, they've always put me up there.
The Liu family's generational tapestry has weaved its way from China to India to Taiwan. And while it's in solemn government buildings where official diplomacy is mapped out, it's the stories of migrants and their descendants which paint the changing colours of history. John Su, Suvam and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.